Weeks in the Woodshed by Michael Botur, read by the author. In Weeks in the Woodshed, AJ was a young South Auckland teacher trying to provide for his wife and baby. Now he's had his privilege taken away, convicted of a crime while working at school, a crime he's struggling to admit, a crime for which he's been sentenced to complete community service in a remote countryside barn, and a crime which comes with unending punishment. Weeks in the Woodshed. 1 days. It's time, you tell Sasha, touching your watch. I have to go. What do you want, a medal? Sarcastic Sasha tosses the words over her shoulder, refusing to turn away from her computer. Just get it done already. Sash hammers another couple of commands into her accounting software, adjusts her wheelie office chair and flips Bubba around to her other shoulder. The kid probably senses that his daddy is a shameful loser who's fucked up his life by 28 and has to go do community service instead of cuddling him. So I'm just double checking, you'll be alright by yourself? Your butt bumps the blinds. Sun skewers your wife's eye. Jesus, I wish you'd go already, AJ, for fuck's sakes. Sasha fixes the blinds. You've got this. I'm trying to make us money here. Sasha polishes a paragraph on her screen and shifts your baby to the other shoulder again. It seems like that's all you've been doing for 8 dragon months. Endless shushings and baths and getting out of bed 5 times a night. Valentine is Bubba's legit name. It's a good Catholic name that you had to fight your parents over because they wanted something more Sri Lankan. Naming your baby religiously, it's the kind of atonement you give to God to say sorry for the bullshit you done in your 20s. Half the reason you and your wife got married young and settled on the lonely fringe of South Auckland, actually. Trying to get away from your druggy art school mates in Mount Eden, pressing pills and fucking with the king cobras. You came out here, you got yourself a teaching job and kept your noses clean. Well, clean until you stuffed it all up, of course, and now you pay. You pay in time. You sure it's not a problem, me going off to, do these hours? Sash turns. She gives you that professorial look. I totally love being left at home with the baby and no public transport when I can't drive. Yeah, thanks a milli, AJ. You take Bubba briefly, try and squeeze some parenting into the quick minute before the corrections van arrives, holding your baby's little puffy mitts above his head. Real sorry, little dude, you tell him. Daddy got in trouble with the law and now I have to go and do PD, as the criminals call it. Hours of slave labour. There's no way around it. Apparently they give you jail time if you don't show up. Matter of fact, here's the pickup van, easing into the driveway now, fronted by a grumpy-looking driver with black shades and ridiculous sideburns like Elvis Presley. In the seats behind him, cackling inbreds with demented eyes, thrashing against their seatbelts, the type of rednecks brood where South Auckland dissolves into farmland. You are glad you won't spend the entire day working with these Mugdar lowlifes. The driver has to take you out to some white-sounding place called the Waiuku Community Men's Woodworking Shed to undertake 30 8-hour days. That's 240 hours in total, under a supervisor you're told is named Arthur. Sasha, babe. You hover on the top step. Do you think I'm a bad person? You are if you don't go do your hours and come home to your fam. Dude, just go. Goodbye driveway and steaming lawn dew. Goodbye cicadas. Goodbye dairy over the road. Goodbye laundromat, Hammer Hardware. As soon as the van starts moving, the hassle begins. The hardcore crims in the back of the van fire spitballs that pepper your neck. Curry muncher they call. Yo, Osama, look at me when I'm talking to you, Punjabi motherfucker. Sweet wristwatch nigger, that a prezi from your mama. You're up front in the passenger seat. Luckily, you're safe behind the driver. You want to correct these troglodytes. You want to tell them that you're Sri Lankan, which isn't remotely related to the Punjab. Although you are enough of a narc already, sitting up the front, so you try to, between your teeth, try to squint and shake your head and pretend as if you've been through this before. So you're doing a few weeks in the Woodshed, G, the driver says, drumming UB40 on the top of his steering wheel as he steps up the speed to 110 k's an hour as you leave behind Pukekohe, the end of Auckland. Hardly any cunts put their hand up for Woodshed. People reckon they work you too hard there. Which probation you working with? Annabelle Harding? Yeah, Annabelle, you tell him. She said it was the option that most clean skins choose. Whatever clean skin means. Oh, clean skin means you're a softie, no offence, driver Elvis goes, slowing to 60 k's as he rolls a cigarette in his lap. The driver is dark and brown as old furniture, his chest hair silver corkscrews. You can tell from the tats on his throat that he's had his own corrections in his life. I know what you done, G. I know what you got sentenced for. It's kind of serious, oi. Boys in the back, they'd have fucked you up. They found out you done the dirty when you was a teacher. You're lucky you ain't spending the day with us. A school, funnily enough, is where driver Elvis empties the van, setting the hardcores to work, spreading mulch and planting baby trees at Pukekohe Primary School, detaching a trailer and dragging out spades and sacks before he drives you out to the men's shed. You're glad that the hardcores have been emptied out of the van. The stupid low achievers haven't wrestled to complete a graduate diploma in education. They haven't landed a teaching job at Pukekohe High School. They haven't overworked themselves. They haven't come home to a screaming baby and a disappointed wife and a secret stash of product you had to stay up late smoking for a little relief. They haven't gone to work in a temper, been bailed up by the head of department, haven't messed with money to fool the bank to get a house. They haven't... The speedometer gets up to 125 as driver Elvis carves through the possum-spattered Patamahoe Road, a long straight with gorse hedges on both sides and cows up on the hills and mangroves where the harbour reaches in, grain silos, water tanks and macrocarpa pines with big witchy arms. It's 10 k's to Waiuku now. Apparently Waiuku is a swampy hamlet with one wharf where the harbour laps at farmland. Historic church covered in barnacles, mangroves in the main street, the discarded corner, the far southwest of South Auckland. You'd never been out to this cracker hillbilly deliverance country before. There's a billboard telling people to get their wholesale kumara this season, $20 a bag. All proceeds to Waiuku Community Men's Woodworking Shed. Still plenty of time, the sign says. You catch driver Elvis staring at the watch on your left wrist. It's an infinite, made by Longines. Ox blood leather strap, titanium case, silver accents, diamond hour marks, lifetime battery, atomically precise gears. Tata gave it to you on the day that you got your diploma from Teachers College. You were going to go far. The woodshed, son. They get long, the days at that woodshed. It hardens a man. You do a secret snort. Tell him that you are already familiar with the Kowalczyk effect. You covered it with my Year 13 science kids, you tell him. The longer periods of daylight, due to the summer tilt of the earth, produce a psychological sensation by which time appears to slow and stretch, like a never-ending day teaching, beginning with a 4 a.m. baby change wake-up. In corners of the universe like ours, the Kowalczyk effect means when certain factors align, time feels longer. Bro, how long is Uranus? The wannabe crip up front asked, making the whole class crack up. You thumped his desk. Angry pink eyes. Kids instantly terrified. It was obvious to everyone you were on drugs or desperately in need. You shake it off. You were not employed as a teacher anymore. Your registration is in limbo until you get this PD community service slavery sussed. It is time to redefine yourself, beginning today. The 100k straight finally eases into an 80k zone and then a 50k zone. A billboard, seconds before the turn-off, and it says, woodwork, boat repairs, fix it, vintage tools, stop on in, always open. You arrive in front of a vast red barn, rusting tractor, bobcat, piles of tyres and firewood, weeds in the gravel. The only thing that looks like it's moved recently is a dated Toyota sedan with a dark brown arm hanging out of it. It's as brown as you, almost. Creamy pink fingertips. An islander or an African person, maybe. Or a Colombo bro, maybe. Dude from Sri Lanka? Nah, no chance. You hop down from the van. So am I asking for Arthur? You go, he's the supervisor that signs off my timesheets. You turn after 2 seconds. The van is gone. Silent heat, the tang of pine, a pair of barn doors as tall as houses. You lean into the Toyota that's idling in the car park. There's a huge guy in there, in the driver's seat, and he looks like he's from Papua New Guinea or somewhere. He's trying to listen to his earbuds. Oh, hey man, I'm Ajanta. AJ, people mostly call me. Got a signal on your phone, Ajanta? The dude says with a tropical accent. You check your phone. No signal. He takes his earbuds out and unfurls from the car. His limbs and arms and shoulders and head unpack into 6'4" of heavy Melanesian with flabby tits and a ring of fat above his basketball shorts, like as if he's been playing sport but drinking and eating too much. The dude joins you in staring at the mouth of the barn. It's as big as a hangar and crowded with piled high wood, columns holding up a hard-to-see ceiling, distant stripes of light on a whale-sized lifeboat in the centre of the barn. The thing must weigh 2 tons. It looks immovable, that boat does, like its keel has grown into the concrete floor. A Santa Claus-looking white dude with a greyish, whitish, fluffy sort of Gandalf beard materialises. It has to be Arthur. You're inside the shed's entrance and this Arthur guy is examining you with a bar of sunlight. There seem to be no electric lights, just stripes of sun between towering, mile-high wall slats. So you're the teacher who disgraced himself, Arthur goes, chewing a tobacco pipe. And you got yourself, 250 hours penance? 240? The big Fijian puts a hand on your chest and his eyes pucker. Oh, give me a break, dude. I didn't molest fucking kiddies. You wriggle out of his big mitt. You want to tell these fucks what you actually got your 250 hours for. But you swallow it. You save it for break time. Arthur doesn't respond to your help me eyes. For a minute, he is as stiff as the wooden hat tree that he's standing in front of, and then the weirdo shoves hands in the pockets of his coat, even though it's scorching, and sizes up your Fijian friend. And you would be Prince Vanakaleva, boyo. Am I pronouncing that rightly? Prince nods. Okay, so his name is Prince, apparently. I was expecting news at 8. Got a bag or anything? Chuck her in the cupboard. He is talking about a big Narnia-looking wardrobe. It looks handmade. You hope that you don't have to build something like that. The timber is interesting, at least. Tropical hardwood. It reminds you of the green, steaming Knuckles Mountains in the middle of your country, where your dad's old man used to work in that sawmill. They cut teak and mahogany, you think. You can't remember much about your dad's culture, though, since you fell in with the party people and started smoking to blow off steam over Sasha and the bank and the baby and all that shit. There are 3 backpacks in the bottom of the wardrobe, dusty and spiderwebbed. Whose are these, man? Have you got many jailbirds working today with me and Prince? Put your phones and whatnot in, Arthur says to you. If I catch you using a phone, you'll be in breach. I'll send you back to probation. You spot a second wardrobe or armoire or whatever these people call it, tall and wide as a grizzly bear. Another one behind it and a 4th wardrobe where daylight can't reach. The place is like a museum. All this handmade furniture left in limbo. It reminds you of how hard it was to move into yours and Sasha's house. The agony of humping bookcases and beds across town, bashing your hips and shins, wasting your back, mostly doing it yourself because your parents wouldn't help you because you had disgraced them. And Sasha couldn't lift because she was 8 months pregnant, looking like an avocado. The worst punishment. You were stoked that you got a home loan in a place of your own, though, even if you had to cut corners to do it. So do they have planing in whatever country you're from, boy? Arthur goes to you. I'm Auckland born and bred, sir, but my family's Sri Lankan. You look at Prince to see if he's thinking, fuck this white old prick, same as you. Planing. Oh, do you mean like flattening a piece of wood, eh? I ran a couple of woodwork classes at school. I was relieving for a mate. I guess I know how to plane, sort of. Arthur walks you through a petrified jumble of cold cabinets and tall boys and dresses and handmade chairs. There are stacks of buckets labelled wood oil and linseed oil and varnish. There are abandoned long johns, horseshoes, weatherboards, boat pieces from the old Waiuku ferry service that used to take people from this dead, stagnant end of Manukau Harbour across to central Auckland. The same logo as on Arthur's coat. Oars and flotation rings and coiled rope, anchors and seats and hulls and marine carpet and timber, a steering wheel, a ferryman cap like this Arthur fella is wearing. You duck under the bow of the giant lifeboat, the centrepiece of the woodshed, and you meet Arthur at a 5-metre wide bench fastened to wooden beams as thick as wharf piles. Up at eye level is a bunch of chunky tools. This here is a rasp, that here is a file. Arthur points to a stack of timber slabs with jagged, bumpy surfaces. Swamp carry, hardest wood a man could ask for. It's got a gorgeous grain on her. You smooth out them surfaces on each slab, you two. But, I mean, how many slabs, sir? Like, how long for? Arthur's eyes flatten into letterbox slits. Until you've done your time. After what feels like an hour of sanding and blowing dust off, with Prince using his belly to lean on his rasp, you brushing curls off so that the surface of each wood slab is level, Prince asks, "What is time?" in his shitty English. You check your wristwatch. The numbers make your heart die. You shake your wrist. Your watch must have stopped somehow. It is not cool considering it's a Longines watch. It's supposed to bloody work. Prince, man, it's 9:39. Fucking hell. Prince may be way bigger than you, but he is suffering just the same as you are. Throbbing knuckles, sore stomachs and arms from hugging the giant rectangles of heavy timber. Oh, we only started at what, 8:50? Dude, man, we need morning tea or something. You call out to the boss, unsure where Arthur has disappeared to. Yo, Arturo! Can you come and sign off paperwork or whatever? Arthur appears in a gap on the far side of the lifeboat. He adjusts the brim of a sailor cap reading Waiuku ferries and walks stiffly to the end of your workbench like he hasn't walked in years. Back into it, boys. Arthur's body is frozen as he mutters the words, yet they still come out as if Arthur is a doll with a pre-recorded speech box in him. On with the next one. You swallow sawdust and feel your blood throb and watch the sun through the slats to see if it moves. Cicadas chirp. Your watch limps to 10:05 and then 10:09 as if it doesn't want to show bigger digits. Oh, this shit's unbearable, you go, chucking down your tools at 10:13. Prince, bro, how many hours you got on your sentence, man? 150. Fuck this, we are taking a break. You flop into Cape Cod chairs, worrying how you will make it to home time. After hours of sweat, the numbers have barely hit 10:21. Big Prince falls into his chair hard. He is sweating and showing his pained teeth and fanning his face with a chopping board. Arthur has little conversation. He stares through the sighing macrocarpa pines towards distant farms, watching the world age. You munch muesli bars and sip bottled water until Tata's watch limps past 10:30 and staggers to 10:45 and flatlines at 10:51. It's unmoving even as you stare at it and count to 100, 110, 150. This is the first time your watch has ever stopped. There's supposed to be a lifetime guarantee on Longines watches. For fuck's sakes. Back to it, boys. Still bundled in his thick coat, even as the heat intensifies, crazy old Arthur has you stack half rounds of firewood for 62 minutes, which feels like 4 hours. After that, you chisel bark off a huge Rimu log. Your watch says that the bark chipping occupies 80 minutes, though you could swear it was 6 hours. Fucking Jesus, you're desperate for your 5 p.m. finish, although it's barely 12 o'clock. At lunchtime, with the wind oozing as slow as paint, Prince munches a bag of Doritos and 2 litres of Mountain Dew, breathing heavy. You try to talk cricket. He only follows 5-day international tests, it turns out, and you're more of a 2020 man. If you can't ask Prince what crime he did to get sentenced to this shit, you don't have much in common, and you're both not ready to share. Arthur is pointless to chat with as well. It's like trying to talk to Stonehenge. You watch the giant scraggly macrocarpa pine trees outside, big as brontosaurus legs. Watch them drizzle twigs and leaves on a hillside covered in overgrown stones. You check your watch one last time. You're not even halfway through the day. Can't wait to get home and smell your baby, cuddle him in the bath and soap his chubby folds. The afternoon hits 30 degrees, 35. You're instructed to crack open a steel barrow of linseed oil. The fumes reach up your noses and soak your brain. Delirious and staggering. There are 206 bones in the human body, you taught your science kids. Working in this woodshed, every single one of those bones aches. The afternoon's job is to dip each chopping board into the oil, shake off the excess and hang each oiled board in the warm breeze to dry. There are hundreds of boards and then hundreds more. It seems pointless. Lactic acid burning your arms, heart complaining, sweat puddled in your butt crack. After you ask him 3 times, Arthur finally grumbles something about selling chopping boards to raise funds for the community men's shed. Where's the community, asshole? You want to shout. Where are all the other Colonel Sanders-looking white boys so I can get a second opinion? You seem like the last of your kind, you dinosaur motherfucker. Ought to pack the shithole up. By the time Prince flops into his car at 4:58, he is blinking and sniffling. He probably misses his family too. Today has broken you both. At 4:59, the van arrives and Arthur signs your timesheet. You are grateful for every metre as the van speeds away from the woodshed. Every second of freedom. 2 weeks. Wednesday and Thursday, while Sasha takes a train to her lectures, earning enough student allowance to float the mortgage and keep your parents from calling in the money they lent you, you try to make a little bit of income. Over the road at the Hammer Hardware, they have some sort of timber yard job going from time to time, and you fantasize about doing manly yard work for steady money, but you are too soft for that realistically. You are white collar, that's the word. Delicate caramel fingers and slender forearms that you use to type and file and turn pages. Little jobs to try and bring in at least $50 a day. While Bubba naps, you pull down little freelancing gigs from Fiverr, Upwork, people per hour. You use Sasha's credentials to get half a day of student job search work. The job is to cold call rural landlines and use your teacher voice to educate South Island farm women about a new brand of dog food with added vitamin D. That's only 10 hours of income, though. It's easier to just try play dad and have a couple of days off the weed and the online poker and try not to rack up any expenses. You take Valentine to the playground and push him on a tiny swing, watching his gooey eyes glisten as he grins into the wind. Perfectly groomed, desi Indian mums come and let their toddlers frolic. You imagine that you are on the same level for 10 minutes, and then they get important phone calls and you are left alone. A jobless loser Paradavana who lies to his amma and tata, that's what you are. A person who tells them that he's still teaching and tells his parents he hasn't fucked everything up. Sunday the 17th is your second shift at the shed. It's a fraction colder this morning. Autumn is coming. You're out of bed early for this one. Sarcastic Sasha pulls the pillow away from her face and opens one unimpressed eye. You pick up Bubs without being asked, and you go and run the shower and peel the muddy nappy off your baby's son. You sing Ma Veni Belinda to your baby in the shower as you wash off dried baby food and the poo, wincing when you spot in the mirror the bruises blossoming across your hips and ribs where you have bashed into immovable benches and cupboards and barrels of linseed oil. Ma wani bilinda, wara langata kanda, dug sapa kumanda, sana nirindo wena koinda. Look, let me explain to you, dog. You tell your baby in a low voice, hoping that Sasha has gone back to sleep. Look, Marvani Belinda is this nursery rhyme that Tata used to sing when we would have baths together. And like, okay, so the whole nursery rhyme, it's like for a starving little urchin. So, I mean, not that I'm saying that's going to happen to you. You wrap Bubs in a towel and tiptoe to the lounge, checking the time on your wristwatch. If you had the money, you'd get your dysfunctional watch serviced, except you don't have the money because you risked it all to get your family a mortgage, to put a frickin' roof over your head. You had to lie to the bank and shit, fake labels for the hundreds extra coming into your account each week, lying about a fake second job, lying about fake employment contract, fake pay slips. This week's fakery involves hoping that the bank doesn't find out you've lost your job, your salary, your KiwiSaver. Cheers for listening anyway, little dude. You put him in bed with Sash. He kind of looks like he understands. There's rumbling on the driveway. Oh, you know I'm going to go straight, little man. After this punishment crap is over, I'm going to go straight as an H5 treated 1800 post. Oh, you pinch your own nose. God, you're actually starting to speak wood like fucking Arthur. The van is here. Time to go do PD. Sasha calls you through before you go. She strokes your face, probing new wrinkles around your eyes, lines in your cheeks. She licks her finger and tries to rub off a spot that won't go. AJ, just don't feel sorry for yourself and the time will pass quicker, okay? It's the least judgmental thing she's said in ages. As you hoon through the farmland out to Waiuku, you fantasize about grabbing the wheel and swerving you all into the harbour, because it would get you out of living as a failure to your family. Except the problem is, there would be more hours waiting for you in the afterlife. So you might as well go through it now. Driver Elvis crunches across the men's shed car park as he settles. He rests beside Prince's car. You see the seats inside are empty. One of the books on his passenger seat is called JavaScript for Dummies. It's impressive. The bro is learning how to code. He's got a plan after the shit's over with. Before he goes, driver Elvis crawls the van up to you and speaks out of his window. Bro, they just want you to do your time. Don't go back-chatting Arthur, yo. Corrections will breach your ass. Listen, I done my time when I was your age. How many hours did you do? You ask the driver. Not hours, he goes, reversing. I done years in there. At the entrance, Arthur is a coin-operated boy. He activates as your toes hit the shade of the barn. Arthur points to 5 stacks of wooden pallets. The shortest is twice Prince's height. The tallest has to be 6, maybe 7 meters, all the way to the ceiling. Pull those bad boys apart, chop them up, put them in the sacks there, and we'll sell them as kindling. $5 a bag, fundraise for the schools. Are you shitting me? I mean, sorry for my language, but like, who exactly comes here? What schools are going to buy from us, dude? Arthur is as still as ever, fists in his thick harbour master coat. Dude, come on, like, where is the men, as in men's shed? And how come you never have a car, Arthur? What, you sleep here or something? Arthur saunters away. In my country it is murimuria, Prince goes, pouring water into his sweaty eye. Say what? Murimuria? You're amazed that Prince is talking. He has been chasing his hours, determined and aggressive and silent until now. It is a heaven of sorts. A man's soul, he is punished for the sin he committed in the flesh. This is afterlife. The Yalo is forced to go about forever, bearing on his shoulders a log, a tree trunk, you know. The hell does Yalo mean, you ask, Prince? Is Yalo like a ghost and it has to walk around with, what, like a tree trunk on its shoulders? Arthur appears beside you. He shoves a crowbar into your chest. Get to work. Prince starts breaking up the pallets with prying bars and hammers, and you follow. The first hour feels like 2 hours. The second hour could be an entire afternoon. You and Prince look down at what you're working on, grunting. You try to trick your watch into moving. You never catch it running slow, though when you take your eyes off the damn thing, time grinds to a halt. Prince occasionally gets splinters or dust in his eye and slows his labour, although he doesn't stop. The dude must be obsessing over what it'll cost to get his hours done. Precisely 30,000 arm movements or something. 11,000 dusty breaths. Piecing together Prince's life through chunks of conversation, you learn that he used to be all about rugby. The boys, the women on the sidelines, the house parties, rich chicks getting him and the lads to do their concreting and then come inside for a cold drink and a little something extra. People chanting his name, having his picture on posters, trying out for the Fijian Drua team, being a celebrity, being a superstar. Except Prince always had a bungee cord around his legs. He could only go so far before it snapped him back to the humble culture that he came from. A culture where you don't get to go and be a hotshot in your rich country if it means leaving your wife, your kids, your village. He doesn't know tons about Pākehā culture. You refer to the weeks in the woodshed as Sisyphean crap a couple of times before his brow crumples up and you have to explain the European reference. Alright, Prince. As I taught my year 12s, right, in Greek culture, Sisyphus was a thief with a smart mouth, you inform the bro, as he sits on a sawhorse. When death came to fetch him, Sisyphus played death, know what I mean? Like he tricked death, chained him up. And as punishment, death sent Sisyphus to Hades, where the ferryman made him roll a big-ass boulder up a hill. A heavy weight, Prince goes, a burden, like the Yalo, Murimuria. See, here's the thing. He would almost get to the top, right? It's a pointless task, but you want it to be over. You want it to be done and dusted, know what I'm saying? Do what the master says and then knock off. Except you know what happened when he rolled the stone all the way to the top, bro? Yeah. Motherfucker rolled back down so that the dude had to roll it right back up. This, every day, all day long. Kaiti takuma! Prince yells, hurling a pallet across the barn. Prince points across the wooden jungle at the human statue resting on a bench, bundled up in his coat with an unlit pipe in his mouth. Him is tricking us. Arthur is tricking you, indeed. You talk it over at lunch, thumping the armrests of the Cape Cod chair while cicadas laugh at you. All right, Prince, I got a theory, man. See, my theory is there is an engine with a big old magnet buried under all that wood, like a big industrial magnet, know what I'm saying? There has to be, because time is fucked up. Every hour feels like 2-3 hours, man. You come out of here feeling like you've been stuck for days. Because you're lazy, Arthur says, plonking himself in a Cape Cod chair. The old ones, they worked 10 times as hard as you lot. They didn't ask for pity, did they? They just put in their years and got on with it, lazy boy. We are not here for years, though. I'm so done with this. You get to the lip of the road. Fuck this place. You are going to stick your thumb out and get picked up, or else you will walk all the way home, 23 kilometres until it's dinner time. Fuck it. You do not care. You cannot take another day of this torture. You march across the stony car park towards the road. Behind you, the cavernous hangar becomes tiny, almost laughable. The car park has been widened somehow overnight. You find yourself in a puddle of hair gel. No, a pond, a lake, something sticky and invisible, quicksandy. It doesn't let you move forward. You thrash in all directions, sticky, floating, suspended in gelatin. Carried up into the air, invisible escalator, feet scrambling at the ground like a fishing net is being hauled up. You are half in the clouds, suspended for 40 hours. You count and wince and sleep and cry. And Arthur arrives eventually with Prince behind him. Down you come, son. Back to work. 3 months. That whole woodshed thing is over, you tell your wife. The van's arriving and you're joining the hardcores. Today's job, cleaning up Pukekohe Central Primary School. Back amongst civilization, everything's refreshing. Birds actually move, clouds actually glide, leaves turn over. Passing cars cool your anxiety. Your wristwatch runs normally, and when you count seconds, the second hand on your watch keeps up. Feeling light, feeling thrilled, feeling energized, you scoop rotten leaves out of the school pool and bag them and toss them into the flatbed of a ute, not minding too much that you're the only one working, absorbing hateful stares from gangsters leaning on their spades. Everything goes all right for the first 2 hours, and then, at break time, an 18-year-old killer bee stands over you. Oh, gives a hoon on your vape, he goes, scratching the letters inked on his neck. You pass him your vaporizer, hoping that he will leave. Killer B puts the vape in his pocket without even smoking it and then starts ogling your watch. Oh, I heard you was a pedo. That can't be true though, eh? Be real fucking dumb to have a pedophile in here. Yep, you go, in a fake hard, weary voice. Killer B spits to the side. Heads begin turning. You saying, yep, you is a kitty fiddler? Or yep, you're fucking dumb? Because if you was a pedo cunt, you wouldn't be here. Because you get your ass killed. So what kind of yep is it? I was saying, yup, it would be really dumb to conclude that I'm that sort of thing, all right? Conclude, cunt. Yo, boys. The killer bee whistles. A bunch of apes dangling from the jungle gym strut on over. Oh, Curry Munch reckons you ain't a kitty fucker. They hoik phlegm from the backs of their throats, spit towards your shoes, bubbly egg whites, green yolk. Killer B leans in like he wants to share a secret and then wraps a squeezing arm around your neck. You know this ain't your place, eh? You ain't supposed to be here. He's forced you to the edge of the pool. It is a 10-foot drop below onto the now clean bottom devoid of leaves, hard, unforgiving blue concrete. Go back where you belong, snake charmer. He lets your neck go and you scramble, tripping over a pile of branches, stumbling, vaulting a playground seesaw, leaping the school fence, bursting through bushes, face screwed up, weeping with fear and desperation along the railway line, collapsing by your letterbox, kneeling on the lawn. Police find you there, around dusk. They look weary. One of them doesn't even get out of the car. Corrections sent us to bring you in, the lead cop explains. He's South Asian, but he's nothing like you. He is walled behind a taser and a notepad and a stab-proof vest, radio blocking his mouth, keys protecting his hips, green tattoos on solid veiny arms. For breaching bail conditions, I'm told, and he checks his phone, flicks through some notes. Oh, not bail, your community sentence. Oh, yeah. Says here what you done originally. He raises his eyebrows as he digests the information about your original crime. My understanding is we have to hold you in remand for a period of 30 days. Hop in the back, please. What's remand? What 30 days? That's jail. Yep. Mount Eden Corrections Facility would be the transfer prison technically. Hop in the back. I'm not going to ask you again, mate. Sasha has come out onto the balcony to see what the blue lights are all about. Bubba reaches out towards you. Oh, come on, bro. I beg you for another chance, Sahul. Can you check with corrections? Can you check with Annabelle? She's my probation person lady. Can we just call her, dude? You have to, let's see, Ane Mataru Dav Karana Naya? Sahutaria, man, please. He frowns. Don't you pull that Sahutaria brotherhood shit on me, his face is saying. You, AJ, have disgraced our people. Stand by, he says. He walks behind the car and makes a phone call, staring out at the road. He shakes his head wearily. He's seen 1,000 white-collar crims cry. He sticks his head inside the car and converses with his partner. The South Asian cop comes back and opens his driver door. Time freezes. I'm told you can still go back and do your hours. Some men's shed place out in the Wops. Oh, thank you, Sahudari. Thank you. Jesus, man, you're honestly... There's no avoiding your time, Ajanta. One last chance. 4 years. 3rd Sunday, 7th Sunday, 9th, autumn now. Slow sludge with little bouts of odd jobs and freelancing and shitloads of pram pushing in between. You have signed up for Saturdays as well as the Sundays to get your hours done faster. Not that anything is fast. Your hair age, your wife says as you lace your boots. There's like silver dust in your hair, little wires. You are turning grey. And it's not just that. There is now an accordion of wrinkles every time your face skin moves. You are aging a year each month. getting used to endless, thankless weekends in the woodshed, becoming appreciative of crumbs of conversation with your only friend out there. Prince tells you about catching sea snakes as a kid, tells you about selling snake shows to tourists, shinning up trees for coconuts, writing songs for his wife, sailing with his dad. You respond with stories about Sri Lankan weddings, epic feasts, and say fuck no to the offer of buying a BP franchise with your uncles, starting teaching at 23. It was a cool job, and you felt esteemed and felt better than your mates working at Burger Fuel, although you always wondered if instead of stressing yourself out, schooling strangers, you should have done something simpler, something closer to your baby. He'll be way more grown up by the time this shit ends. 12 weekends to go, if you've counted right. Today's job is cleaning up the fallen tree limbs on that slope outside the barn doors, where the macrocarpers drop their branches on the huge stones. Stack it, saw it, chuck the cut-ups into these here boxes. Arthur nods towards banana boxes with a dancing fruit logo on them. Bloodalcohol, the company is. You've seen these same boxes in old family photos. They can't have been used since 1995. Same boxes that filled your parents' shipping container down at the Auckland port when they realised that they had done enough years in Sabaragamuwa and that they could flee the war for a fairer country. Make yourself useful, boys. Clean them branches up. You pore through the waist-high dry grass, stooped like detectives combing for evidence. You toss pine cones back towards the shed, kindling, limbs. Your foot hits a slab. Something solid, unmoving. Arthur has been dumping timber out here. A tombstone. A square of marble as big as a boogie board. It's nearly black. You heft it upright and claw the lichen off. Here lies Timothy Mackin, wall builder and fair husband. 1st of August, 1841 to 2nd of March, 1888. Another, George P.B.F. O'Shaughnessy, stonemason, hard worker, 1870 to 1903. Graves of the pioneers. You stand the first two up out of the grass and then a third. It is only another couple of metres through the grass before you feel a long, solid rod under your feet. You pick it up and a second rod rises, the two joined at right angles, ancient iron rails. Jerome Carpenter St. John. He gave everything. It's a cemetery, this entire hillside. It's a pioneer graveyard, overgrown. When you look up, Arthur is a monument at the top of the slope. Gather 'em up, clean 'em off. Dude, you'll have to send down some rope, you tell Arthur. Get one of them tractors cranking. We can't lug this shit uphill. They work 10 times as hard as you. Least you can do is treat 'em right. Lugging the headstones up to the top of the hill makes your feet scream, your elbows sting, your neck tighten, your teeth clench. You wrap your arms around the slab headstones and hear your back click. You drop a stone on your toes and scrape a postcard of skin from your calf. You bite your tongue, thump a fist against every tree and cry a little. Winter is coming, Arthur reminds you, standing and watching. Gotta get them suckers out of the dirt, son. Hands in his coat pockets, immobile, wind stirring his beard. They are as heavy as a car or a fridge, these stones. Sliding them across bumpy ground doesn't work. You grunt and sweat and ache and rip your knuckles open. The only method is to flip each tombstone end over end. The hands on your watch stagger past 3:59 and hit 4 o'clock. From the top of the slope, you lug 13 slabs of stone through into the dark, cool depths of the shed. Haul the stones up onto the bench, your muscles crying. You scrape their names clean with toothbrushes, chip lichen out of their dates and dedications. Mary Beth McCool, mother of 8, schoolmaster, died in childbirth. Rosetta Roberta Stevens Rhodes, she fenced Franklin. Ajunta Costa, left wife and child, used his time poorly. Arthur returns from whatever world he's been in and comes close, craning his neck. We are finished, Prince tells Arthur. We are complete this. You must let us go. Put them back where they belong. Your jaw drops. Dog, come on, you're not serious. Put them back where they were. Good lad. Oh, you are a dead cunt. Your fingers seize Arthur's throat and disappear. Your entire arm dissolves into him. What the fuck is this? You rip your arm out, double over, sit on the concrete floor. Until you scream, Magenta. I scream at myself, okay? I'm a fucking dropkick. I ripped off my school fundraising donations to buy more wholesale products so we could cook more, alright? To sell to my bros, mate, and the King Cobras, okay? Pukekohe High couldn't send its kids to camp because I ripped the fucking sausage shizzle money because this fucking guy made the bank think we were earning 100k a year. Because I was racing to scoop a house for my fucking family, because we didn't want to rent for the rest of our lives, because prices were fucking skyrocketing and my wife couldn't work because I got her preggers, so I made fucking crack with these dickheads and showed the bank my big flash income, and meanwhile I'm stealing all the pseudoephedrine out of the school sick bay, and I literally gave my dad a heart attack, right? That's how disappointed he was when I got busted. Then I had the fucking ego to plead not guilty because Mr. Big Shot Teacher thinks he's the smartest guy in the world, thinking I can beat the justice system. I am fucked, Prince, alright? My career is destroyed and it costs my family, it costs my wife. They almost took my house off us. You happy? Arthur seemed like he's been listening, like he's been deliberating whether you've been sorry for long enough. You dry your tears, and then you lug the tombstones back to the grassy slope. Years pass, and you finish at 5 o'clock. 5, until the end of time. Some Sunday during the eternity, at some invisible bend in a featureless road, Prince completes his hours. When driver Elvis drops you off in the morning, Prince's car isn't there. You are on your own. Arthur adjusts his cap. The shed doors creak as they open. It's just you and him now for the final 100 hours, the final 100 years. Arthur tells you to shove everything in the shed against one wall and then sweep the floor. Everything, hundreds of tons of wood, and then sweep a floor half the size of a warehouse. There is nobody to help you, no intervention, no rescue, no labour inspection, no Annabelle Harding supervisor, and no Sasha. You begin wiggling wooden barrels across the floor with dust on your lips, shouldering bookcases, hustling planks and joists in your armpits, dragging ladders, pails, benches, railway sleepers, carved canes, window frames, skirting board, doors, shelves, plywood, a chess set, a rocking horse, all of it moved 20 metres across the room. An eternity later, when you have repositioned every chunk of wood, what's left is the lifeboat, surrounded by bare floor like a museum exhibit. Coin-operated Arthur has been watching you trudge through a swimming pool of thickened time. You make eye contact, sending a question with your face. Bro, do I really gotta move this impossible thing, really? See what happens if you don't, Arthur's face responds. You put your back against the lifeboat. You dig your feet into the concrete floor and strain upwards, hoping to get the keel off the concrete where it's probably been stuck since World War I. The boat groans. You push until the last black is squeezed out of your hair. Fuck this, you need to lash out. The only thing that's left to lash out at is the barrel of linseed oil. And you imagine it is Arthur, and you kick the fucking thing. It hits the sandy concrete, and the lid cracks, and golden oil oozes towards the lifeboat, pulsing, probing the stuck keel, lubricating the floor inch by inch. The boat senses the oil and yawns. You take the boat's bridle, wind the rope around a steel column, brace your feet against the column and pull. Creak. In the boat, standing at the helm is Arthur, his ferryman cap on, staring into eternity. The wooden monument shivers off its dusty coat. Stubborn, it grunts and it complains and bullies your back and shoulders and screaming fingers as you haul it through the oily slipstream. Just 10 or 12 metres. Just another year. Sunday morning, you're up early with the birdsong, spooning creamed rice into Bubba's mouth while he thrashes in his high chair. You do not pity yourself. This is the afterlife. Cleaning up mushed food and shit and drool while your hard-working wife rests. That's why you were put on earth. You tour the house with your baby drooling into your shoulder, pulling down the blinds, showing him secret views of spring tui birds drinking the cherry blossoms. It's spring now. It'll be summer soon. On the deck, you watch cars go past. Every 20th vehicle seems to be a white van, and you stare to see if the rear seats are filled with bullies. Nervous. At 9:45, you suit up for the 10 a.m. meeting. Nice pants, shiny shoes, a buttoned-up white shirt that you used to wear to mass. You push expensive moisturiser into your face. Nothing makes the wrinkles disappear. Over at Hammer Hardware, they usher you through plastic curtains to a veranda out back where the manager sets down 2 cups of coffee. How have we got your date of birth right? You tell her, and she barely believes you. My husband went grey at 38, but you're Struth, you're pretty young to be losing your hair, she tells you. You don't protest or argue or fight it. You don't fight anything anymore. So looking through your CV, mate, you've always worked with your brain more than your hands, I can see. Coding, teaching. How come you want to get your hands dirty with us, AJ? You look out at the timber yard. A man in a forklift is stacking 1600mm fence posts. A woman stroking slats of H3.2 grip tread decking. Wife? Kids? Got one of each, miss. Just as she is turning some pages, preparing to say something, you add, "Oh, my missus, she's been mega patient with me. She's like doing some legal papers at uni, training out to become a lawyer." And you're not bothered by that, AJ? Her being the breadwinner, earning the big bucks? You tell her that you tried winning the bread once. You made it work for a while, and then you messed it up majorly. So this position, it's out in the timber yard mostly, you understand, and we can only stick you on Saturdays at first. There's not a lot of money. I suppose you get weekdays with your kid. Saturdays are 7 till 5, non-negotiable, I'm afraid. Righto. The hours are real super long. We're talking 10-hour shifts. You sniff, hoping that she thinks you are hay feverish instead of weepy. You're feeling a little drunk. Things have started to slow. Trust me, miss, I can handle it. She slides a contract across the table. As you reach to meet her hand to take the pen, you wonder how long the interview has been going for. You check the time. Your watch has stopped ticking. The air is thick. Above the table, her hand hovers.